This is a show that likes to have fun. I know that very often I'm sarcastic. I'm not serious, but I feel the need to talk about what happened yesterday at the end of the Super Bowl parade for the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, Missouri. Yesterday, if you didn't know, a mother of two was murdered. At least 22 people were shot, at least 8 of them children at said parade. And I know a lot of people are so, at this point, you're basically numb to it because you see this all the time and you see all sorts of people weigh in on it. And yeah, I'm a talk show host that talks about sports for the most part and is generally better suited to be just, as one texter constantly calls me, the clown prince of sports radio here in town. And I'll fully admit that. There's a lot of things that I will admit I'm not the most informed on. And I will apologize for using the tiny tie to sports with this parade that makes me feel like I got to weigh in on it. I'm going to spare you the simplistic, surface level, we got to do something about it that you're seeing from so many people. Sort of like Aldous Snow and forgetting Sarah Marshall, this song at the beginning from Infant Sorrow. We got to do something. We got to do something. I know a lot of my other colleagues in sports media, news media are doing the same thing. I'm also going to spare you these slightly more nuanced, but also obvious thoughts and prayers. But we're going to be talking about this again in the not too distant future. And one last thing, I like to have facts in front of me when I talk about something like this, but I do not have any more facts than these right now. One, we do not know the names of the terrorists who did this. There are pictures of 2 suspects online. Only one of them gives a clear image. I saw NBC News reported that officials believe the shooting is criminal in nature, but not initially believed to be terrorism. Were people terrified? It's terrorism. Shut the hell up. We do not know officially how many terrorists carried this out, what their motives were. We know 3 people were in custody. We do not know the kind of guns that were used in this shooting. Based off of a very far away shot, it looks like one of the guns might have been a handgun. Again, we don't really have all the facts in front of us, and said facts are very slow coming out right now. I look at what happened yesterday, a recurring problem in our country that is a massive dose of depression every single day, as having 2 problems that resulted in it. One, I think we've become increasingly lenient when it comes to keeping violent criminals off the street. Coast to coast. Started during the pandemic. At best, it's procrastination. At worst, it's not doing your job. Kansas City had a record in homicides last year, 185, which broke the record that was set in 2020. It's gotten worse everywhere, maybe more so on the West Coast than anywhere else, but it's gotten bad. We all know that. Violent criminals, they get arrested, they get released, they do the same thing that they had done before. I'm not saying all of them do it, but a lot of them do it. 2, this is the more depressing part. We're a country run by the military-industrial complex, and we let whorish gun merchants do whatever the hell they want. And this is something that most people learned about in history class. We had a president warn us about the military-industrial complex, Dwight Eisenhower, when he left office in 1961. And it's only become worse. We've been fighting wars, funding wars we don't need to, ever since. Just about everywhere. Afghanistan's really the only one that made any sense. And we're at least green-lighting the spending of more money to help, whether it's Ukraine or Israel, when we have so many more problems in our backyard. And talking about these gun merchants, which are the ones that I want to focus on today. These are people who pay off politicians, who never seem to face real accountability. We're talking about Glock. We're talking about Smith & Wesson. We're talking about Taurus. We're talking about Ruger. When it comes to recovered crime guns, these companies are the ones that are providing over half of the guns. Almost half of crime guns were purchased within 1 to 3 years of a crime. Means they were probably trafficked. There's some companies like Polymer 80 who manufacture ghost guns. That isn't allowed. There's laws out there that forbid you being able to distribute guns with unserialized parts. They get plausible deniability by selling to wholesalers, gun stores, federally licensed dealers. But let's be honest, it's a corporation in America. They only care about the profits. You really think they give a damn about who's going to say who they sell to? And for example, there was a store in Georgia from 2014 through 2019. This store in Georgia accounted for more than half of Georgia's crime guns that were recovered at the scene. And I mean, that's just here. I've been reading a book about Mexico and the drug trade there. 70% of guns in Mexico are from us. We are whores as a country when it comes to selling guns. So I'm not a gun nut. I fired guns twice before. One was a Glock at an indoor shooting range around the corner. Another bolt action rifle with my cousin at a range in Texas City. I believe you do have the right to responsibly own a gun to protect your family or yourself. It's part of the Constitution. It's a country where police times, as far as responses, are getting longer and longer, and you can't always sit and wait for help. I know there's a lot of other people who feel the exact same way. Obviously, guns are dangerous. If you're someone who casually underestimates the power and responsibility that comes with one, you are part of the problem. And in my opinion, this is not about, gun laws, gun restrictions. More than anything, it's just who we are as a country. We're weapon traders. And at a certain point, you got to wonder if it's time for accountability for people that clearly care more about profits than safety of others. And these companies bury their head in the sand. There's zero tabs that are kept as far as statistics when it comes to violence and things of that nature. I will wrap it up by admitting that I have no solution for this, that we probably don't have a solution for this. I think there's more guns than people in our country. If there's more regulation, there's going to be pushback. The companies that fell in line are going to deal with boycotts, and eventually they're going to go right back to trying to make profits happen. I guess you could regulate more, but do we really want a bigger ATF after what happened in Waco? So I'm sure there's a bunch of whataboutisms. They're coming in on the text line and on Twitch and on YouTube. Opinions evolve. And all I'm saying is that today, February 15th, 2024, this is how I feel about yet another story about innocent Americans getting shot. And I can't wait to talk about this again the next time a tragedy like this intersects with sports. And I will wrap things up by saying shout out to the bystanders who tackled at least one of the perpetrators. So there you go, guys. Should there be any response to this? Maybe, maybe not. I know this is the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. I appreciate you guys listening because it sucks. We're probably going to see this happen again. And it sort of intersects with the sports world. And here I will be once again doing the exact same thing. And I mean, nothing's ever going to change, right? But that's where I'm at.